know you're not alone. Letting you know you're not alone. I wanna try to understand.
Some experiences will change you forever. My visit to Monet's gardens was like being inside of a movie. The flowers and the color and the art, words are not even adequate to describe the inspiration I left with. This is the lamp right here that I made, and it was inspired by the cemetery in the town that Monet lived in. Monet was one of the first to go outside and paint in his gardens and capture the natural light. Leading up to Monet's gardens, there's a whole backstory. So if you want to watch those other videos first, I will link them up here. I will link them down below. But basically, this is day 5 of our trip to Paris, and we are exhausted. Once we got to Monet's gardens, it was just beautiful. At the very end of the day, we walked down to the church to see where Monet was buried, and then we saw the whole cemetery. In France, instead of putting fresh flowers on the tombstones, they lay these ceramic floral arrangements. Some of them are wreaths, and they're all very intricate and delicate. As soon as I saw those, I knew that I wanted to recreate something with the IOD molds that reminded me of these beautiful pieces. I am using resin instead of the paper clay because I want to be able to bend up the wings and make the butterflies look like they are in flight. There are several types of resin. Some of them are a lot easier to use than others. The kind that I like the best is the quick drying resin that turns white as it dries. It's called the Amazing Casting Resin. I will put the link below. I'm using the Monarch butterfly mold. I am using the Acanthus scroll mold. I used a popsicle stick to help the resin get into the corners of the mold and waited about 10 minutes for the resin to turn white. Once this happens, it's very easy to pop them out of the mold with your fingers. This resin is a 2-part epoxy. Pour equal amounts into plastic cups and then mix together until the mixture turns clear. If you pour the mixture into the molds before it turns clear, it will not dry. I learned this the hard way. Right after you remove the molds, the resin is still very flexible and bendable, so I used painter's tape to bend up the wings so that they would dry in place. One of my favorite things was Monet's house. I think I loved it because there was so much color. The kitchen was bright yellow and this beautiful blue, and the exterior of his house was pink and green. This is some of the art that I purchased while I was there. The name of the artist is Christian Anvril. There were butterflies and bees and chickens everywhere in the garden. When you get the resin out of the mold, it's bendy like this, and then you just take the painter's tape it how you want it to dry. I used a mermaid tail. I just used one color for this because I just wanted a monochromatic look. Because DIY paint is highly pigmented, I used about a ½ ounce for this entire project. It will stick to almost any surface, like the resin that I'm using here. I used a tiny detail brush from the turquoise iris to get the paint down into all the nooks and crannies and details of the mold. When you would go into the art galleries, there would be these palettes just caked with paint, and they were absolutely beautiful, but also they would create artwork on the palettes. I took a photograph of this artist and her palette, and then outside of her gallery was this hydrangea that was shaped like a cone, and I had never seen anything like it before. And I'm getting ready to take a picture of this beautiful hydrangea, and then Jamie stops me. You have to put €1 in the box if you want to take a picture of that flower. What? You're kidding me. Look, read the sign. The artist inside, she doesn't like people taking pictures of her hydrangeas. She's sick of it. And so now she's making people pay €1. She started laughing at me and she goes, "Oh, did you read my sign?" And yeah, I put €1 in your box so I could take a picture of the hydrangea. And then she said, "Oh, that's a joke. I wasn't serious." Your molds with clear wax. This will create a surface for the decrepit dust to stick to.
I believe I'm a man with a heart that's a little offbeat.
This is our new dust right here. It's like a little jar full of dirt. You just want to take this, cover the butterfly with the clear wax. You want to sprinkle a little bit of the dust right on top of the butterfly like it's salt and pepper.
Surrounding me, so I see, yeah.
It's important to sprinkle the dust onto the surface before the clear wax dries so that it will stick. Use your brush and really work the dust down into the low spots of the mold, and then wipe off the excess with a soft cloth.
Like a religion, you gotta take her to the beginning.
Reason I love the dust is because you can create dramatic contrast. You can use a lot of it to work it down into the low spots, but still wipe off the excess in the high spots.
'Cause your love is a sermon that I gotta start learning by the end of the day.
You're gonna need the tape. You're gonna need the tape to get it to adhere really good, and I used white glue. You could use wood glue, you could use E6000. I just like to use the white school glue, but it's slippery, so you need this to keep it in place until it actually dries.
I'll give you something to believe in. I'll give you heaven if you need it. And if your heart can't receive.
You can use a hairdryer to soften the molds so they will conform around the shape of the lamp.
Who can say what we know is true?
If I were to do this project over again, I would probably use paper clay for everything except for the butterflies. It's easier to work with, and it was time consuming to soften up the molds with the hairdryer and tape them to the sides of the lamp. The reason why I decided to go with resin for everything was because I wanted to keep the original finish of the lamp. I like the beautiful porcelain.
If I feel the same.
Paper clay would have been easier, but I would not have been able to paint them in advance because you have to apply the clay before it dries, or it will curl up and not adhere flush.
And if your heart can't receive it.
I applied all the molds with Aleene's tacky glue. You can use several types of glue. This one happens to be my favorite because it's non-toxic. It does take a while to set up, so I'm using the tape again to hold everything in place.
And if I feel the same. This heart so uncontainable. These hands so consecrated. These thoughts so unexplainable. This spot so concentrated.
I finished the lamp. I thought it was all done, and I was looking at it. It's not done. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it just doesn't feel ready. Here is a picture of it before I added the white wax to it. Sometimes I just can't stop. Debbie, it's good enough. Let it go. You don't need to try and fiddle with it anymore. I got out the white wax. It's Dion's brush from the Turquoise Iris. It's called the Cheerleader, and it's just this very light little fan brush. See how the butterfly looks right now? And it's kind of depressing. You take the white wax and you just lightly, just gently, just wisp over it with this fun little fan brush.
What if we're living in a fantasy? some world that I could only dream.
The last step is to gently apply the white wax to all the high spots of your mold with a tiny brush and a light touch.
For you and me, imagination is the only rule, mystery the only school. The flowers talk and trees can walk around. Sometimes our feet float off the ground. Are we living in a fantasy? Are we living in a fantasy?
Sell all of the IOD stuff on my website. You can just click the link down below, or you can click the link up above, and you can make this. You don't have to use the ones I did. There's birds, there's butterflies. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
I'm spending money like I just got paid. $100 bills, tell them keep the change. Come on.
Find DIY paint in your area, to sell DIY paint in your store, or to find out about creative workshops from DIY paint retailers, click the link below. Thanks for watching.
The way I do, I just feel so good.